Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my September wrap up. So September was a pretty good reading month for me. I did have some professional exams at the start of the month, which meant I didn't start reading until the 7th-ish. And then I had a lot of free time, which meant I was going out and doing things for the day and not reading. And I wasn't working as much, so, well, I was hardly working in September, so I didn't actually have time to listen to audiobooks while I worked. So even though I had a pretty clear month, I read 21 books, which is not my best of the year. I understand that is still a really big amount of books, but the page count was pretty impressive as well. So yeah, I read 21 books, which was a total of 6,061 pages, which seems pretty decent. I'll take it. And then my ratings, I had no 5 stars again, 1 4.5 star, 3 4 stars, 3 3.5 stars, 7 3 stars, 3 2.5 stars, and 2 books that I didn't rate at all. And that meant the average rating came out at a 3.1, and it was a very 3.1 kind of month. So we're going to talk about the books in the order that I read them, just because that's how I've got them written down. And yeah, this is what I read in September. So the first book I finished was Beauty and the Beast by Gabrielle Suzanne Bobo de Villeneuve. Beauty and the Beast by this author. Can we see that? But yeah, this is the Mina Lima interactive edition. It is absolutely gorgeous, but unfortunately I only gave this book 2 stars. So if this book wouldn't have comforted me during my revision for my exams, I probably would have given it 1, because I just don't really like the story. So I gave it 2 stars. Like, I really wanted to love this because it was so pretty. I wanted to keep it on my shelves forever, but I have actually unhauled it. Oops. And next, straight away, we're on my favourite book of the month, which, let me find it next to me, which was Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This one I was reading while I was still studying for my exams. I had the audiobook, and one night the studying just got too much and I switched off, lay in bed with the audiobook of this and like reading along with the physical book. And yeah, 4.5 stars. This is about Elle, whose dad started the Excelsior event, and what's his face? Darian is an actor who is going to be playing like a reboot of an old, it's basically Star Wars or Star Trek. It's supposed to be one of the two. And he's playing the main character in like a remake, and she doesn't think he's good enough, but then somehow they get each other's phone numbers and start texting, and they don't know who they're texting. 4.5 stars, very, very cute. Next, a completely different read for me. I read Paper Girls Volume 1 by a collection of authors. This is a sci-fi graphic novel, and I gave it 3 stars. Definitely not my normal thing. I got this out from the library, so I do need to return it. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this one. 3 stars because I enjoyed it, but like I didn't get much more. The art was definitely weird, but really cool. And I don't know how to review graphic novels, so 3 stars. Next one that I have already unhauled is The Wicked King by Holly Black, which I gave 3.5 stars. This is the sequel to The Cruel Prince, which I think I also gave 3.5 stars when I reread it last month. This one was an easy time to listen to. I did not guess the twist coming at the end. I really should have guessed the twist coming at the end. But it's a just very easy YA fantasy. I don't think it's that fantastic, which is why it's stuck at like a 3.5 stars. It's kind of a 3 stars for the story and then half a star because I did enjoy my time listening to it, because I did listen to the audiobook if I haven't said. But yeah, nothing that blew my socks off, but I'm glad I carried on with the series. Next we had my book club read for the month, which I just lost. I found it now, which was Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I gave this book 3 stars. I didn't. I gave this book 4 stars. And I gave it 3 stars for the story because I did enjoy it, but I felt like it was really flawed at the same time. So the story got 3 stars, and then I gave it an extra star just for the format because it was so unique and so clever. Like, the start of the chapters have a piece of furniture with an explanation of that furniture, which get creepier and creepier as you go along. So this is about our main character, I want to say Amy. This is about our main character Amy, who works in Orsk, which is a rip-off of IKEA, and they start coming in the mornings and things have been smashed up. There is like human waste left on things. So yeah, they decide to hatch an overnight surveillance and things get weird, and it turns out that the property used to be some sort of torture prison. The actual story was not that great. I didn't love it. There were many plot holes. Chelsea found a really big one that I did not understand. I didn't see it, and now we've like talked about it. I don't know why that would have happened. It wasn't scary at all. It was creepy at times. If anything, it just made me go to IKEA, because I went to IKEA about a week after finishing this book and had a great time there. But yeah, not anything crazy, but I'm going to keep it because I had such a fun time reading it with my book club, and I did overall enjoy the idea. Next, we have a 3.5-star read, which was Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I liked this one, but I didn't love it. So this book would have got 4 stars from me. It's just we got Frances, who's 21, and her best friend Bobby, who used to be a girlfriend. They meet Melissa, who's a journalist, and her husband Nick, and it's just the dynamics between the group and while they're trying to do professional things and link together. And yeah, it would have got 4 stars from me. It was a very, very easy read. I liked where the story went, but I felt like there were just a few unnecessary comments in this that just bothered me, so I brought it down 0.5 star for that. But overall, people do say that you either like normal people or you like Conversations with Friends, and I've liked them about the same amount each, so I'm very intrigued to read her latest book and see what I think of that. But I did enjoy this one and I would recommend it. Next, an audiobook I listened to was 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard, which I gave 3 stars. This was a thriller based on the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown, and it was okay. I think 3 stars might actually be a bit too much of a good rating. I feel like COVID was used as a marketing ploy, like, oh my god, this is a thriller about COVID and they're stuck in an apartment together, when really that didn't impact the story that much. I didn't really like the big reveal. I didn't guess it, but I didn't love it. I wasn't like blown away. And I struggled with the fact that it was told like over different periods of time and like backwards, and I was listening to the audiobook and I couldn't quite match it up. But I do have 2 more of her books physically that I want to read. I have Rewind and I have The Nothing Man, so I am intrigued to read those physically rather than rely on the audiobooks. I feel like that's where I may have gone wrong with this one. Next one that I was really excited to get to, I read The Hunters by C.V. Frodsham, which I gave 3 stars. This was gifted to me by the lovely Laura, who knows the author, so it is signed and personalised, which is really, really cute. This is a dystopian book in a society where resources were running out, so families were limited to 1 child, and the main character's parents, the mum was giving birth and she was the first baby to come out. Turns out she was having twins, so our main character is hidden basically under a greenhouse in the garden, and it's just about how she kind of survives and develops under there, and then her plan to escape the walls. It was a really good time. It was fun. There were definitely a lot of kind of convenient things towards the end, which I was being a bit nitpicky, especially about how it was a situation where, oh my god, it's the end of the world, but I must be with you, like that kind of thing, which I'm like, is that really realistic? I mean, I don't know. We've not gone into this society, but did have a good time with it. It was pretty fun and I would recommend it. Then I was buddy reading Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds, which I gave 3 stars. This was a buddy read with Olivia, Savannah and Becker, and not gonna lie, our buddy read fell through a little bit, but I think we did all finish it by the end of the month. We just weren't that great at talking about it. But this is a contemporary with like magical realism parts, because the main love interest dies and then the main character goes back in time, is like forced back in time to fix it. And do you know what? It's very forgettable because I can't remember what happened at the end. I genuinely, oh no, I do know. Very, very forgettable. I don't know why I'm still holding on to this one. I filmed an unhaul today and didn't include this, so I feel like this is going to be the first book in my next unhaul video, because now I've come to talk about it, I can't remember anything to say. So 3 stars because I had fun, but forgettable. Then I read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, which I gave 3.5 stars. I did really enjoy this one, but sadly since posting my vlog and since deciding on my rating, I have been informed that this isn't good representation for autism and Asperger's syndrome. This is about Christopher, who has Asperger's, and he finds a dog in the garden, in the neighbour's garden, that's been speared by a garden fork, and he wants to find out who killed the dog, pretty much. But it is told in a very interesting way. Like, here is one of the pages, that's a whole chapter, and the chapter numbers are prime numbers. And yeah, I just don't, now that I found out it's not that well researched and informed, I'm less happy with it, but at the time of reading, it got 3.5 stars. Next, I read A Lady of Rooksgrove Manor by Catherine Moon, which I gave 2.5 stars. This one was a reverse harem situation with our main character, Esther, who works in a brothel for supernatural men. I feel like that's all I really need to say about the actual story. If you want to read it, go ahead, but it was pure filth. Like I said in my reading vlog that week, that Den of Vipers has more plot than A Lady of Rooksgrove Manor. It was quite something. So 2.5 stars, 3 stars because I got some enjoyment out of it, and then I just brought it down because, come on, it really was not that good. It's a very hard one to rate actually, because it was just written sex scenes the whole time. But yeah, we're gonna stick with 2.5 stars for that one. Then I read The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, so book number 3 in the Cruel Prince series, and I gave it 4 stars. So I rated this one the most highly out of all of them, and I feel like that's because it was just wrapping up. So we weren't introduced to any new like fantasy rules or creatures. It was pretty much just what's happened, let's wrap it up now. And I enjoyed it a bit more for that reason. I'm not gonna reread the whole series, so I have gotten rid of it, but if I had to choose a favourite, it would obviously be that one, and I am glad I finished that series off. Next, I read Greek Myths by Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts. I have been apparently pronouncing her name wrong, so we're going to say Jean. This was a gift from the lovely Victoria for passing my exam earlier in the year, and I had a great time with this. This one I didn't actually give a rating because I just don't know how. I did learn so much about the Greek myths, and it's absolutely gorgeous. There is a favourite page of mine in here where it's pink. Here we are. Pink page, we are loving it. But yeah, I had an absolutely great time, and I don't really know what to say about it because it's like educational about the Greek myths. But if, like me, you don't like reading retellings because you don't understand the myths, I feel like this is an amazing place to start, because I would feel so much more comfortable jumping into things now because I kind of know the basics of who everyone is and why they're important. So I would definitely recommend this to all ages. Then I read Barbarian Alien by Ruby Dixon, which I gave 3 stars. I kind of enjoyed it, and I have no shame. Not going to say too much, I've realised how long I've been talking, but this is a sci-fi romance, I guess you could call it, about human women who are abandoned on a planet that they call Nothoth, and they are mated to blue aliens with interesting body parts that are fully described. So 3 stars. I had a good time with that one. Next, I read Rachel's book club pick, which was Dial A For Aunties by Jessie Sutanto. And I did originally give this one 4 stars, but I did the live show with Rachel last night, which I will link in the description if it is still live, and I lowered my rating down to 3 stars. This is about our main character, Medi, who goes on a blind date, and when he attempts to assault her, she tases him, but at that time he's driving, so there's a massive crash, and she kills him. So this then follows the aunties, the 4 aunties of Medi, who have agreed to help her cover up the murder, and they are managing a wedding the next day, and everything just goes a little bit wrong. We did decide in the live show, it's kind of like Chuckle Vision humour, like there was a whole to me to you element. It was humorous, but it was so far-fetched that I had to lower my rating from 4 stars to 3 stars, but it was funny. I would recommend it for an easy time, but I wouldn't recommend it for like the best new trying to hide a body book ever. But it was fun. Next, I read one book from this binder. So I read The Story of Tracy Becker by Jacqueline Wilson, and I gave it 2.5 stars. This one, I had a fair bit of nostalgia, but mainly just from the TV show. And I could appreciate it wasn't amazing, but yeah, 2.5 stars. What do I even say in wrap-ups? Why has this one just gone catastrophically wrong? I don't know what to say. The Story of Tracy Becker, if you're unaware, is a children's book about a girl who lives in a care home that she names the dumping ground. And she is, I don't know whether she's convinced or she's trying to convince herself that her mom is going to come back to her. So she makes up all these elaborate stories about her mom being a film star and things like that. And then in the story of Tracy Beaker, she is asked to hang out with Cam, who is a writer, and she just starts kind of telling her story. It's a very short book, the original one, and you don't get too deep into it. The one problem I did have with it is it's not really told in chapters. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness. And as I was listening to the audiobook, it was very hard to pick a place to stop. So I didn't love that about it, but I read the story of Tracy Beaker. Next, I read Not Here to Be Liked by Michelle Quach, and I've gone for 2.5 stars on that one as well. It was a 3-star book all the way through, but then I just felt like it was so, I don't know the right words to say, but it was kind of like, there was a girl whose name I've forgotten. We know I don't do character names. And she wanted to be editor-in-chief of the school paper. Then this guy Len comes along, who used to be a baseball player, but he's only recently joined the school paper, and the members of the paper decide to vote him in instead of her, and she decides that that is because of the patriarchy. I felt like this book could have been really, really good. The message I thought it was going to give teenagers was that there's a problem in the world, and this is how we can challenge it effectively and to make a change. Whereas this one was kind of, she decided that that was the reason she didn't get it, and she kind of just demanded that the guy step down and organised a walkout and all these big dramatic things, when really this could have been challenged in a very collective way that may have caused actual change in that school. And I just don't think it taught the perfect behaviour of what to do in that situation, and it just kind of romanticized it a bit, I want to say. But I did enjoy it. There were cute things, but I didn't really love it. Then I read The Sad Ghost Club by Liza Meddings, which I actually didn't give a rating. So this is a graphic novel, I think talking about mental health, but more than, I can't tell you more than that because I don't get it. I did not get it. I actually had this copy from Brooke, who also didn't get it, and I've passed it on to Rachel. So we'll see if Rachel gets it, if she understands this big message. Then I read The Poison Garden by Alex Marwood, which I gave 2 stars. This was a disappointment. This is a book about a cult and Romy, who grew up in the cult, and then all of the adults have a suicide pact, and she is in hospital, well, she's in like a medical room when it happens, so she isn't affected, and some of the children are left alive. It's mainly just the adults who die, and then she is kind of released into the normal world. And yeah, her little brother and little sister are also there, and I just didn't get what I wanted from this book at all. I actually don't think we were explicitly told what happened in the suicide pact. We might have been. I don't know, I may have missed it, but it just dragged. It was weird, it dragged, there were no consequences for anything, and it didn't wrap up nicely. So then another Jacqueline Wilson book I read The Lottie Project, which I gave 3 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It was very, very cute. This is about Charlotte, who is doing a school project on Victorians, so she decides to write the diary of Lottie, a nursery maid, and it's just so adorable. This book I remember liking as a child, and it's what spurred me on to wanting to do little historical projects. So I'm sure I had an Egypt project ongoing for like since I was from about 8 to 12, I wanted to do this Egypt project, and it never really got done, but this inspired it. And it is adorable. I am getting rid of it because I've got a bit of a beat up copy, but I had a fun time reading it. I'm glad I did. I don't think it was amazing, which is why I've left it at 3 stars, but I had a good time. And then the last book I read was A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapina, which is definitely my favourite Shari Lapina book I've ever read. I gave it 4 stars, and this is a thriller about a woman who doesn't come home at night. So the husband calls the police, and they find out that she has been in a car accident. She's then going to be prosecuted for reckless driving, but she has no memory of why she left the house. And then it turns out that there is a dead body found near where she had her accident, and she may or may not have a link to this dead body. And I had a great time with it. I did not guess the twist at all. One thing I think Shari Lapina is really, really good at doing is giving you an easy twist that you work out so you feel like you know what's going on, and then that thing is true, but then there's an extra thing on top, and I had a really good time with it. So those are all the books I read in September. Apologies that this was a little bit chaotic. It seems like I don't remember any of the books I read, but I tried. So I'm hoping I read a lot more in October with Rachel's Magical Hopathon really spurring me on, and then November is also going to be a busy reading month. So let's hope these wrap-ups get even bigger, and I may have to come up with a different solution so that I actually remember what I'm talking about. But on that note, thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.